Two times.
What's up, babes? Welcome to a Burlesque versus Humanity with your favorite girl. Y'all already know, Charlie Cakes. And we have a special guest today. And before we get into our special guest, I want y'all to put in the comments, what is your favorite cocktail to drink at a burlesque show? Okay, so we're going to get into that later. But who do we have here?
Hi, I'm Crilly Femmetastic. My pronouns are she, her, and ma'am. And I'm known as the Brooklyn Bred Bombshell.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Brooklyn Bred Bombshell. And I say an international girly too.
You know, real casual.
Like, not casual. You being discreet. You went to Hollywood Festival. You went to Panama. You doing a hoedown. I'm like, okay. Like, I love it. And it's so crazy because, like, I know that's, like, I don't know everybody's goals, but I'm pretty sure everybody's goal is to get into a burlesque festival somewhere and do it. So when did you start doing burlesque festivals?
So I started doing burlesque. It'll be 6 years in October, but I did not I've gotten into festivals, but it was hard to like figure out travel because I had a full-time job. But last year was the first year that I was accepted into festivals and was able to go. So in 2022, I was laid off. And so I started doing burlesque full-time.
Wow.
And so in 2023, I was like, all right, I'm going to apply to festivals. And I had applied to festivals before, but I hadn't gotten in. Mm-hmm. And so the first festival that I was accepted to was actually the Book Lovers Burlesque Festival, but I couldn't afford to go. But the second festival is a lot of money. But the second festival that I was accepted to was the Mile High Burlesque Festival in Denver. That's run by Corvette. And yeah, I submitted a pitch. I didn't have the act fully like fleshed out when I
never do when I do a festival either.
But I usually for festivals, I really try and like have a whole thing done, like costume done, music chosen, full video, all of that. But for this festival, I hadn't finished the dress.
Okay.
I had thrifted this dress and I just hadn't finished like putting it together. I had the act concept down. I was performing it with another costume.
Okay.
But I was like, I'm gonna just see. So I submitted a concept. I submitted, video of a different act, but I laid out like, this is what the dress looks like. This is what the base layers look like. This is what's gonna happen. And I got in. And I had never been to Denver before. And so I was like, okay. So I asked the homies, I asked the Black burlesque community here in New York, what do I do? And, folks were really helpful. We're like, try here's how you can pack. Here's like what you should know about travel here. People were really helpful. So I went out to Denver. And yeah, it was my first festival. I didn't know shit about shit. And I actually was working, so I couldn't, I was performing in New York. So the only night that I was there was Saturday night for the competition.
I hate 9 to 5s that they do that.
Yeah, no, I was in a show. I was in a show. I was like, I gotta do paid work. So I flew out there. I was so nervous. But I also was like, I have a background in theater and I was like, I know how to prep for show day.
Yeah.
So, I did all my things. I went, I did tech, because this is an act where I sing live. And so I knew tech was going to be really important. The folks at the Oriental Theater the tech folks are amazing. They talked me through all my lighting. Like, that's why the pictures look so good, because the lighting. Yeah. I mean,
lighting matters.
Yeah, the person who shoots that festival is brilliant. He's like brilliant. His brand is Kilted Imagery, but the lighting was, I've never been lit so well in my life, honestly.
That's good.
So yeah, I was very, of course I had a shoe malfunction.
Don't you hate that?
My favorite shoes, the zipper broke, and but I had brought a pair of extra shoes because people have been like, bring extra everything, bring extra shoes, bring extra pasties. And so yeah, so I this part of the story is the part I tell everybody. Like I was in the first, I think I was like 4th or 6th or something. Like I was very early in the show.
Yeah.
Which was exciting for me because it meant that I could just sit down and watch, right? Like I like performing when I'm competing. I actually really like performing earlier in the show because I'm not just like sitting backstage, like shaking.
I'm like that too. I'm like, when I perform, I'm like, look, let me be the opener or let me be in the middle. Don't put me at the end.
Yeah, if I'm just performing, it's fine because I'm just, I'm chilling. Yeah. I'll like warm up. I'll like, do some push-ups and, whatever in the back. People literally backstage at festivals, people are like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm doing some bear crawls and some crunches.
What's wrong with that? That's a good warm-up.
But I'm like, I need to go in a corner and like watch my little Peloton video and like warm up my hips and back and core so I can get these drop splits together.
That's important because we don't want you to pull nothing.
I'm old.
Look, you ain't know. Wait, are you still? Well, I'm gonna say late 20s.
That's cute. Say some more about that. Because it's not true.
Wait, can I ask how old are
you? Yeah, I'm 35.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Black don't crack.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm also like, I tell people all the time, I'm actually really glad that I got into burlesque older because, when I was younger, I would not have done as good of a job, both taking care of myself and like saying no to things. Honestly,
feel that
being like, ooh, this doesn't feel good, or I don't think this is right for me, or I did that. I worked with that person and I didn't vibe with them, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just means that I won't work with them again. Like I don't think I would have had that level of discernment when I was in my early 20s. Because when I was in my early 20s, I was still trying to be on Broadway, right? So I was auditioning, I was doing a lot of theater.
Wow.
In that space, and decided, I was teaching full time and decided like, okay, I can't keep auditioning all the time. This is stressful.
A question. What did you audition for when you were doing Broadway?
Oh my God, all the things. I auditioned for Glee so many times.
Talk about Glee. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I auditioned for Glee, I auditioned for Hamilton.
Wow.
What else? I auditioned for Hadestown.
Okay.
Those are the ones like coming off top.
Okay, that's cool. Did you get to book any on the stage?
No, I got a couple callbacks, but I never was cast. And I think that was really hard for me because, I went to school here in New York City. From here. I'd gone to performing arts. I've been singing and dancing and doing theater since I was like 3.
Yeah.
So I went to a performing arts middle school and high school. I went to a conservatory for undergrad. I studied voice and theater. Yeah. And then I came back to New York and just like didn't get into the things, which was rough. Yeah. So I just kind of stopped doing all stage things for a long time.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I started pole dancing.
Ooh.
First, and I was like, I like pole dancing, it's fun. And I was asked to kitten a burlesque show by someone who was going to be in this burlesque show, and they knew me through pole. And they threw at me like, I think a week or 2 before the show, they were like, hey, somebody's gotten, I think it was sick or injured or something, but they weren't going to be able to perform. So they were like, can we just hire you to perform?
Oh, shoot. So
and
how was like,
that? It was, I mean, so I'm a cosplayer. I have tons of costumes, right? Okay. Costumes were not the problem. It was figuring out what I wanted to do. So of course, the first act I ever did was one of the hardest things you can do, which is a reverse strip. So I got dressed.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I put it's a Wonder Woman act. So I put my armor on stage.
That is so crazy. Hold up, don't get my mind juggling because I'm like, that.
Yeah. But it was, I like looking back at it, I'm really glad there's no video. There's lots of pictures. The pictures look good. And then like from there, I started meeting Black burlesque performers. And I was like, oh yeah.
It's my jam. But
this is so cool. I want to do it like that.
Your pivot though, like, yes, you went on the castings and everything, and I'm pretty sure you learned so much, probably met so many people.
Oh my God, yes.
And then I'm like that, because sometimes, life gives us that pivot, like we may not understand, like, okay, why I'm not booking these gigs, because kind of that was me too. Like, I came from the background of like wanting to dance on BET stage and be a choreographer for Lil Baby, Beyonce, Lizzo, all that. I wanted to do things like that. And I wasn't booking. Like, I was this close to getting on the Lizzo show. I had to call back with the casting people and everything, but it just did not go through. And so I'm going for all these dancing castings and nothing's happening.
Right.
Like, bro, what am I supposed to do? So I just was like, I just took a break and just dived more into my sex work, like just doing camming, stuff like that. But I have this dance background and I'm like, what do I do with this? So
yes.
Okay, I'm camming already. How about I'll do like, I started making like this code thing where I'm like, okay, I'll do a burlesque set on here on the cam. So I'm just dancing all sexy and stuff, but I'm like, I want more people to see this because I'm a talented person. I'm good at this. And I'm like, it's cabaret-ish, but it's burlesque. Researched it on Instagram, found this group, boom. Now here we are 4 years later.
There you go.
And so, yeah, life hits these pivots for you to kind of get you where you need to go. And we don't know why it's happening, but now we're here.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think younger me definitely did not understand, like, how come I just never get booked for these shows? And like, I think it was like getting clear about what's important to me, getting clear about having agency around my own creative career, having autonomy about what it is that I like to do. And it is challenging because I do come from a theater background. Right. I have a little bit of knowledge about lots of different parts of the theater, right? I like spend time building sets and props. I know a lot about how to choreograph some stage fighting, right? Like I like, obviously a lot of my training is acting, singing and dancing, but all of those different pieces have informed how it is that I approach my own burlesque career, how I approach every single act that I build, now that I'm teaching, how I inform other people, right? How I interrogate their desires and say, like, what do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? How are we going to get there?
I like that breakdown. That's a good breakdown.
And like that, all of those things have gotten me to this point where I can, effectively build something from start to finish.
Yeah.
Not all by myself because I'm a terrible seamstress.
Same. Me too.
But
I'm gonna keep y'all having a job because saying me, I have the dancing part. I have this. I can build some sets. Great at lighting. Great at all the other stuff. But I am not making a motherfucking bralette or panties.
I'm not doing it. I will buy some and I will add clips
Yeah.
for a quick release.
Yeah.
Okay. I will add snaps. I will add hooks. Okay. I got that. I got that part. Make but what me? No.
No, and then you live in New York, so you get to be like, you're around that fashion district, so you have all the jewelry, all the rhinestones, all the just everything. That's one thing I loved about when I went to I used to go to New York every Wednesday, like with my mom when I was a kid, because she would go to her wholesalers when she had a boutique. And as a kid, I would just look at like, oh my gosh, all this jewelry and the material. So that's why I'm like, I love New York because y'all got all of the good shit. Like, you could be at your gig right now, but like, y'all, my earrings just dropped. Run next door. Let me go get a pair of earrings.
Except it's 9:30 and the shop closes at 7:30. So
oh yeah, you're right.
Trust and believe this is a real thing, but it's also a thing that I enjoy. Generally backstage, if somebody's like, oh shit, something broke, or I forgot people will just be like, oh, I might have an extra, I got some lashes, I got some pasty tape, I got some earrings. I generally experience people backstage as like everybody's rooting for you to win. And if that means we all gotta pull together, like I remember once Miss Aurora Borealis was like, hey, I'm coming down from she lives up in White Plains. She's like, I'm coming down from White Plains. I can't access my costumes. Do you have something that I could wear for a show? And I was like, actually, yeah. And I just brought a bunch of different options, and she like pulled a literal entire costume together from like extra pieces of things that I had. Right. And so like people I have generally experienced and like it was a full circle moment for me, because one of the first Black burlesque performers that I ever saw in person was Aurora.
Wow.
Like many years ago up in Bad. And so for me, I was like, whoa, here I am.
Yeah.
The universe, alignment.
No, that is beautiful. Okay, question. What was your job before you went full-time into burlesque? I'm curious.
So I still do this sometimes, but I was working as a diversity, equity, and inclusion manager for a large tech firm. And so I do a lot.
That is.
Yeah, I was deep in the corporate, I went back to, so I taught for a decade. And I got tired of teaching, but I mean, I love teaching, actually. I got tired of admin bullshit, honestly.
I can
like
feel
the administration and how it is that people manage New York City public schools. I was like, there has to be a better way. So I went back to school to learn management. So I got a master's, and while I was in there, people were like, a lot of the concerns that you have to do with management, but they also have to do with like culture and equity, right? And inclusion and like justice work. And so my focus went from, thinking about like managing a school to thinking about managing a district, thinking about managing a company, and centering, making sure that people were invited to the table, that their needs were met, and that they have what they need, not just to survive in that environment, but to thrive. And, at that point, schools were not hiring DEI people.
Wow.
But tech companies, large companies were. So I went the corporate route. It was fine. I was dead inside, but I made a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then when the economy started failing in 2022, is when the first round of DEI layoffs began, and now you're seeing the sort of escalation of that, where people are just like dismantling their entire equity and inclusion departments.
Yes, I am seeing that and hearing that a lot. Like the whole department gone, people losing their job, talking about their house, their kids, and it's sad. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's needed.
Yeah. But as soon as people in power feel that their money is being threatened,
mm-hmm.
the thing that makes them the most uncomfortable is what has to go, right? And so people in power, when we talk about, people love to talk about diversity and inclusion, but they don't want to talk about equity because it means that they got to give up some of that power. They got to give up some of their access to resources. They got to invite other people to the table and share the decision-making. And they're not really interested in that, right? And you're right. It is a lot like what we see. Burlesque is just a microcosm of the world. And so, I think the reckoning of 2020, when people were like, actually, we're no longer going to tolerate all white casts.
Mm-hmm.
We are no longer going to tolerate newbies being treated poorly.
Yeah, and they shouldn't be.
We're just not going to tolerate that anymore. Yeah. I think that was, like I said, just a microcosm of what was happening in the rest of the world.
Yeah. No, it's very true because like I'm not, well, as a newbie, I would say, because as a newbie, it was a little different because I was in a group when I started out. Mm-hmm. So I was at a home base. But when I kind of went out, like going to festivals or dealing with other producers, I did feel like even though I wasn't really a newbie in the dancing, but I was a newbie in burlesque. And I can get that feel of a little bit, also being that token Black girl. Like, I've always dealt with being a token Black girl, even though I grew up in the more suburbs part of Maryland, Hartford County, Abingdon area, where I was the only Black girl in my first and second grade classes, or being the only Black girl in a music class, or in our neighborhood, me and my mom were the first Black family here. So it's just, I've always been in that predicament, but I wouldn't think in burlesque I would keep being that.
And yet
3, 4, 5.
And yet
I don't get it. And I'm like, there's literally a Black dictionary for performers in your city, and you still are casting people that are one race. Make it make sense.
Yeah. And again, it's about access and comfort, right? So, to put on my DEI hat, like one of the many hallmarks of white supremacy is fear of conflict and the right to comfort, right? And so when people are like, what is comfortable for me is this.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to just do that. And I am not responsible for anything else, right? I'm here to get my money. I'm here to manage my own career, blah, 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 right? But when they are challenged, right, then it's, it's the tears, it's the, oh my God, I didn't, but like,
I didn't know.
I wasn't, I'm listening and learning.
Baby, you've been producing for 10 years, so come on, is it going to be the 11th year you're going to listen and learn?
Yes, is the answer. Because, a thing that I've learned very quickly when I started, doing DEI in corporate is, unless you attach material consequences to not prioritizing inclusive practices, it's not going to get done.
You're right about
that. When I worked in corporate, if you didn't connect somebody's paycheck or bonus or promotion to the skills that it takes to be a manager of a diverse team, if you didn't say, hey, we have to make sure that teams look like this, right? That there are more women, there are more people of color, there are more trans and gender non-conforming people who are coming into this company. And once they're in the company, they need to be promoted. You know, you can't just keep them where they're at. You got to make, why is it only white guys in the leadership room? Right? If you did not make that somebody's problem, right? If you didn't connect that to bonuses, if you didn't connect that to end of year evaluations, if you didn't connect that to real consequences, nothing changed, right? And so I think something that I know about burlesque is that as long as people keep getting access to the resources, as long as folks are not faced with consequences for not changing their behavior, they're not going to do anything different. They're just not.
No, you're right about how do you feel that we can, I'm like, because I'm going to be honest, like I'm tired of keep talking. I'm tired of keep talking about pay. I'm tired of talking about race. I'm at this point where I kind of have just separated myself and just work with who I want to.
Yes,
but
that's what I do.
Yeah, and it's like I want change, and I was going to ask you, like, how do you think we could put that change? Like, stop working with producers. Stop. How do we fix this?
Yeah, there are producers that I do not work with.
Yeah,
because either they have done some wild problematic things in the past, right? Either racist or transphobic or fatphobic things in the past, and I just don't work with them. And I tell newer performers as they are working with me, get your bag, but be careful.
Yeah, and that's where it comes to, because I'm like, get your bag is cute, but also you gotta be careful where that bag get laid.
Yes, right. And so there are performers and producers that I don't work with because they've harmed me directly.
I'm sorry that even happened to you.
And there's performers and producers that I don't work with because people who I trust were like, when I worked with this person, I had a bad experience.
I'm there too. I've been there, yeah.
And I'm like, uh-oh. Heard you, right? I'm not going to be your token so that you can say, oh, well, I can't be racist, or people love to put me on a stage and be like, see, we hire fat people. And I'm like, first of all,
that's the only woman that you have hired that is fat.
First of all, I'm not a plus size performer. I'm still a straight size performer, right? I can pull clothes off the rack. Right. And I think that's a thing. Like, yes, I'm not a size 2, but I'm not a plus size performer. If I'm the biggest body that you have on the stage, then you have a fatphobia problem.
Yeah, and it's so crazy because I'm in the middle right now, because before I had my baby, I wasn't a plus size performer. But now I have a baby and I am. So I'm kind of feeling through this world of like, it's a little different for me now because, I can perform at Fat Less now, but it was weird because before I had my baby, I was still thick at the bottom, but I had no waist. So it's like, where do I be struggling? Because I'm like,
the line of mid-sized performers, right? So like that's a term that I've heard used often.
Yeah.
So talking to people like Regal Mortis, talking to people like Misty Rose, right? Talking to people like Gigi Holiday, right? Like, sure, we're all technically straight sized, sorta.
Yeah.
But there are stages that will never hire me because I'm just too fat for them. Right? But I also have had people, when I talk about my own body and my struggles with body dysmorphia and I've had people come in my inbox talk about well, you're not fat. You are a Black person and your weight shows up on your body really differently, and white producers don't understand that, but you're not fat. And I'm like, cool. Thanks for telling me.
You don't know what I'm dealing with, what I see, but okay.
And so, I hear you. I think it's really, for me at least, like, I know performing at something like Bounce House or going to something like Fatlesque, I don't want to hear people challenge why I am there. So I just don't go, which is shitty because I would love to. I love working with Lee and Bustle and Abby Fantastic, right? They
Yeah.
produce Bounce House in New York. I love working for Pucks. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I love working for Pucks. It's so
Yeah.
good. I love working for Rebecca David. Like, you know, like those producers are really brilliant, but I am not at a point in my own sort of body journey where if someone challenged me in those spaces, I would be able to like bounce back well, like straight up just like that.
And that's okay. And that's only for you to understand. And that's all that matters.
And so, yeah, it means that like I'm going to struggle a little more because I was very much like, I don't know if I'm going to get into Hollywood. I don't know.
But you
yeah, I did. Yeah. Like,
representing.
There are just like some festivals where I'm like, I look at not even just at the winners, right? The court. I also look at who ends up on that stage.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if I don't see anybody who looks like me, nobody who's above a size 6, nobody who has natural hair, like, it's hard.
No, it is hard because it's so crazy because coming into burlesque, I would think it's like, oh, body positivity, love, love, love. But when it gets down to the big dog, big name production stuff, no, they're looking for a size 6 and down. They're not looking for a juicy mama. They're not looking for that. And that's why I loved burlesque because I'm like, oh, I don't have to be this skinny white lady to get booked, but I'm thinking like they kind of want you to.
It depends on what kind of stages you're looking to get on, right? Honestly,
no, you're definitely right about that. And some of the stages I have been wanting to get on, like for instance, like what is it, Dwayne Park. I know I will never get booked on that. And that's one of my dreams. Their stage and the venue so beautiful. Even the stage is small, but it's a beautiful venue. And to perform there, I just like. There is a history, but there's a lot of white history there. But still, I'm just like, I would never get booked.
Yeah. And I feel like it's important. I feel like I live in New York.
Yeah.
I've tried to get on the Dwayne Park stage and I've not done that. But I think when I interrogate, right, and when people like Pearl Noir or Poison Ivory or Gigi Holiday ask me like, why do you want that? Right? I have to interrogate it and ask like, why do I want that? Is it for me?
Yeah.
Or is it for the clout? Right?
That's a good
one. And so I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Working at Dwayne Park would be nice, but I can also work at the House of Yes.
Yes, and
or Nurse Betty, or Slipper Room, or there are so many. I live in New York, and I'm lucky that I live in New York.
Yeah.
There are so many big, historical, beautiful stages, Red Pavilion, like all these places where they want me to be there, right? And Pearl says this all the time, go where you're celebrated. Yes. Show up to the places where people are excited to have you. Mm-hmm. And that lesson has been hard for me as a recovering people pleaser. Yeah. Because I'm like, I want to make everyone happy. But it's like, no, actually, my job is to do my work, my assignment, the things that I'm good at. Yeah. And the people who are excited about the things that I'm good at, that's who I'm going to go work with, And that means that like, I've never been accepted to the New York Burlesque Festival, but I have traveled now all over the world and won titles.
Yeah. You definitely won titles with
and that's with an act that like, both of the acts that I have actually are built as like love letters to Black women.
Yes, I've noticed that too. Even watching your ex, you are very like, just from watching it, you build very great storylines. And do you like write out a storyboard or anything?
storyboard, but I do try and like create intention.
Okay.
Right. So like for Starfire, right? That's the one that I took to Panama and our universe last year. You know, the reason that like I do all of my acts are nerdlesque acts.
Yeah.
And I like that because it means I don't have to build from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm starting with a bunch of backstory. I'm starting with a characterization. I'm starting with something. Right. And I'm like, how would this character do this thing? And that allows me to really focus on the costume, on the movement quality, on the kind of music that I want to use. And that's really like my process, right? I don't always, sometimes I start with the music, sometimes I'll start with the outfit, right? Like the Poison Ivy act didn't exist before I bought that dress.
Wow.
And the dress took me a couple years to, I had to like, I bought it. I had to get it fitted. I had to, I had to do stuff to it. I had to rhinestone it. I had to cut it. I had to learn how to walk in it. Because it's got all that tool and all the train and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the act didn't exist before I saw that dress. And I was like, this dress would be great for Poison Ivy. Yeah. And then like from there was like, what would Poison Ivy do? Why would she be wearing this dress?
That's cool. I like that because I know everybody's process is different. Usually my process always usually starts with the music. And it's so crazy because I tell my students, like, while you are choreographing and you're trying to come up with your storyline, also try to put your costume in there so you can practice taking it off and stuff. But as you become more comfortable in burlesque, you're gonna know how to take whatever off.
Right.
Yes, I'm always a song first. I'll be smoking a blunt. So I'm
that's
just
right.
I'm like, oh, okay, I can see myself doing this. Cool.
Yeah, I definitely have a playlist of songs where I have like a idea like kind of simmering in the back of my head.
Yeah.
And I think something that, again, another thing that Pearl taught me was like, you can have an A side and a B side of your act, right? So like that,
hold up.
That Poison Ivy act is done to two different songs. There's two versions of the act. Mm-hmm. There's one version that's the big stage version, right? That's the one where I sing live and it's very like glamorous and like, big villain energy. And there's another version of the act to a different song by B. Steadwell, who's one of my homies, who makes queer pop music. And it's a song, it's super fucking wholesome. It's a song about being like, I'm going to grow you some collard greens. I'm going to grow you some snap peas. I'm going to grow you some tomatoes and some kale. And I'm trying to like grow you things and keep you healthy because I love you. And I want you to have good things. Right. And that act is so much softer.
Yeah.
Right. It's a lot more. It's like wholesome. It's literally wholesome as fuck.
I like the A and B. I like that.
And so I don't want to build a new costume.
Oh no!
I don't want to build a new costume.
What's your process? Like, do you make new acts every year?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not. What?
Yeah, because when I first started burlesque, I thought you had to make new.
No, literally, you should. I tell people this all the time. You wear that act out.
Okay.
Wear it out. Literally do it until the costume falls apart and then rebuild the costume because now you're a better costumer than you were.
Okay.
Do it until you don't want to do it anymore.
Okay, I'm only making.
Yeah, look at you.
Making just when it's just act in my head of like. Because being a mom and going through birth and all that, it wasn't traumatic. It was just it's different for me. That's the most major thing I've ever been through is pushing a baby out and being a mommy. So I've been wanting to do this act to where like I have like I just got out the shower and it's my first night out and I have my breast pump, I have my glass of wine.
You got to talk to Abby Fantastic, who is the MILF shake of burlesque. And she has a whole, she did like slice of life burlesque for a little bit after she had her first kid. That talked about like what it is to be a mom and like you should definitely talk to Abby about that because
I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to do this because I'm just like, it's just such a feeling. You don't have, do you have any children?
I do not have children. I have a cat and a dog, and
that's okay. That's your kid.
And I'm literally wearing my auntie dress right now because I am somebody auntie.
Period. Do you want children?
Some point, but I'm also like, the world is on fire, and also I'm gay, and it's a lot of money to have a kid when you're queer.
It is.
It's a lot of money to have a kid. Like straights, they just be like boop boop. But
yes.
But for me, like it's not gonna be like that. And so I, some of it is like I want to figure out how to even afford that.
Yeah, if
I want to carry a child, and if I don't, I need to figure out how to show the government that I am financially stable enough to adopt a child, which is a whole other thing.
It is, but yes, don't even get me started. But if you're ever interested in adopt, I will hook you with my mom because she does all that stuff.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
Yeah. Even like my mom does the part for like foster and adoption. And then my friend actually, she works for like a IVF fertility. So we got it all in the bunch. Let me know. That's
yes. Yeah. But yeah, it's so interesting to me to sort of be in my 30s and talking to other people about like, okay, are you going to freeze your eggs? Are you going to do IVF? Like, are you going to, and like doing that in the midst of something that like people feel like is really glamorous, right? Like burlesque and how that, I don't know, I've been able to have some really real and important conversations with fellow performers about that because, I'm like, I don't know if I'll be doing burlesque full time forever. And I have a disability, like, and I know that my disability is going to progress. It's slow right now, but it is a thing that I have to think about. And so I'm like, I won't be able to rely on my body forever as my main source of income.
Yeah.
And so I want to start to think about like, okay, what happens after this? What are the things I can start to integrate into my own practice? And then, obviously I would love to keep doing burlesque until.
Yes.
But I want to also, I don't know, I think some of the thing that people don't think about or don't think of as part of diversity, equity, and inclusion is actually sustainability.
You're right about that.
Because, equity and inclusion is all very well and good, but if the planet's on fire, then it doesn't really matter. And so like, what does it mean for me to build a sustainable career for my own personal self?
Yeah.
What does it mean for me to be a sustainable showgirl? Which is why I end up thrifting a lot of my costumes or getting them secondhand. Like I love shopping in other people's closets. And when I'm done with, the other thing is like when I'm finished with a piece, if it's a costume piece that doesn't fit me anymore, or if it's something that I bought and I thought I was going to love and I don't, whatever, I give it away. I give it to another performer to be like, here you go.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
Because I'm like, sustainability is not just about like my personal experience, right? My body. It's also about like, if the world's on fire, when it was smoggy as hell outside, it was horrible to dance.
Yeah.
It was horrible to be trying to take deep breaths.
You're like, hold up.
Right. I was in a couple gigs that got canceled because people were like, the air quality is too bad. And I'm like, cool, 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 cool. That's going to happen more and more as the earth warms up. So what are we doing? Right. And like, yes, I am fully aware of the fact that like me changing my shopping habits is not going to offset Taylor Swift's fucking personal jet. I'm a Taylor Swift hater, and I don't care who knows it.
And two, I'm with you.
We could fight. We can tussle.
Yes.
Drop your pen.
Yes.
Drop. You, where are you? I will come and speak to you about this in person. No, I do not care.
I don't care. I feel you. I don't care for her neither. I feel you.
But I feel like it is my responsibility to make my own practices such that they can be sustainable for me.
No, that's beautiful, because now that I sit here and think about it, I kind of went through the same thing too, thinking about like, okay, I know I love burlesque, but baby, burlesque is only paying you some of your bills is because your husband has the corporate job. So I get a lot of help from my partner to where I don't have to go back to work, because number one, I just had the baby, so I'm taking care of our baby. And then two, he knows that I love burlesque, but he knows it's not going to make us rich right now in this moment. So it's like, okay, but now that I have my baby, I have to think about like, he has to be homeschooled in the next few years. I want to buy a house in the next few years. I want to have another kid in the next few years. I want to have certain things and be able to chill, because I know this world is ready to go in turmoil. So I need to have a fun. So I literally had to sit here and think like, okay, yeah, Charlie cakes, but wake up, Nia. What do you want to do?
Right.
So I'm actually going back to school for sex education, so I can.
Yes, that's what I taught. Sex ed.
Oh, we're gonna have to talk. We're gonna have to definitely talk. But yeah, I want to go to school for sex education and also sex therapy, so I want to do therapy for people that are going through transitioning, because I know some people have to go through therapy during transitioning, and I would love to be there for them during the transition and a therapy period to get their family, because I feel like if your mom and dad is there, they should be included. They should understand, this transition that's going to be different for their family, because I've dealt with it in my family a few times. So I would love to be that supportive therapist there for them.
I love that.
Yeah. So I have to think about like, okay, bitch, you need more money. Burlesque is cute, but the little 150 gig and 200 is not paying motherfucking mortgage.
Right. And like, I think it also, part of what creating a sustainable career is understanding like, where are the money gigs? What are they? And like, the answer is private gigs.
Yes, you already know. Yes, that is my thing this year is private
gigs.
Private gigs. Yes. Corporates, if you do perform, like I tell people.
Corporate and private.
They got a budget for their holiday parties and all their stuff. Right. Get in there, boo.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you are so right about that.
And so like building portfolios or building my media kit, building a portfolio that showcases like not just the things that I've built for the big stage, but the things that work well at a house party or in a restaurant, right? Getting hired for bachelorette parties or divorce parties.
Yeah.
Or birthday parties. I love a birthday party. Birthday parties are really fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that, like being a versatile performer, knowing your lane, right? Like I tell people all the time, my lane is I only dance to Black musicians, only.
Yeah.
And all my performances are character based, right? So like even if you don't know what the character is, it's a character.
Yeah.
Right. From something, from a TV, from a movie, from a book.
I love that.
From a comic is always a character.
I love that.
And that's my lane. And I'm sticking to my lane.
Yeah. No, that's good that you're sticking to your lane, because that's what you do. That's what you're great at. And no, and now that I sit here and think about, I'm like, dang, do I only dance to Black musicians? And now that I say I do. I do. I think it's just like I don't really think about it, I guess, as much, but now that I think about it, I do. Because like even I try to do everything straight power because growing
Okay.
up in a different community of I was around a lot of white people. That's why I moved to Atlanta. I'm gonna be honest. I moved to Atlanta because Atlanta is a lot of blackness, and
Mm-hmm.
I love being to wake up every day and be around somebody that understands what we're going through, or
That's right.
I don't have to worry about. I don't know. It's just a lot. I
Yeah.
just love Atlanta because I love being around my
Yeah.
people. That
And
is,
that's, people ask me all the time, like, are you going to stay in New York? And I'm like, where the hell else would I go? First of all, I'm from here. Second of all, the only other place in the world
mm-hmm,
I've ever experienced this level of like deep generations of like blackness in a metropolitan way
mm-hmm.
is in London. And London is just as expensive as here.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, their gentrification process is similar to New York's gentrification process, has pushed a lot of Black folks who used to live in places like um, closer to the city, like they're now further away.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to how, New York, Brooklyn used to be Black as hell, right? There were just neighborhoods of Black folks like Bushwick and Bed-Stuy and Crown Heights, right? And those were like just Black neighborhoods, right? Flatbush is still pretty Black.
Yeah.
But I blame Sex in the City, but
Wait, why you blame Sex in the City?
I blame Sex in the City for convincing people that they needed to move to New York.
You know what? You're right. Because when I watched it as a kid, I was like, I want to move there. Like, they're just like these young women that are living their life. They're shopping the yellow taxis. Yes, I get why you say that. I totally get why you say that.
And so, I've never watched Sex in the City in my life, so I don't know. I wasn't watching no show about New York. I've never watched Sex in the City, and I've never watched Friends. I wasn't watching no show about New York where there was no Black people.
Yeah, I never watched Friends neither. I never was into. I don't know. I honestly, when I watch TV, I literally look like where the Black shows at, and I literally was just talking
And
about that.
Friends was just a ripoff of Living Single
Yes,
anyway.
let's talk about it. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It sure was. Because when I be looking at some of these shows, I'm like, this seems like this has already been done. We need to go to court because what's going on?
Right. And I'm like, ain't no way you got a whole show about New York City and there's no Black people. No.
That don't even make sense.
So, but I blame Sex in the City. But what happened is, Becky and Karen and them and Chad and Brandon all moved here from Iowa and Nebraska
Nah, I don't.
and Michigan and Tennessee.
Look, yeah.
After college, they were like, I'm gonna get an internship in New York City. And their daddies who make a lot of money were able to sign on as guarantors for their apartments that cost too much money. And so now people like me who've lived here my whole life are trying to pay rent, these inflated rental prices, because the transplants have driven the rental market into the fucking stratosphere. Right. And so another thing that I tell new burlesque performers is like, you cannot eat your crowns. Okay. The crowns are sitting right behind me.
Yeah.
My landlord does not care.
No, they don't.
My landlord does not care. Okay. I have to prioritize taking on work that pays me. Festivals cost me money. I have been in 2 festivals that paid me like in cash
Yeah.
when I won.
Wow.
right? One of them was Exquisite.
Mm-hmm.
You get a cash prize for that. So if you are listening to this and you haven't applied to Exquisite Burlesque Festival, go on ahead and do that. I'll be crowning the next winner in October, and there is a cash prize.
Hold up, I might apply because I told myself I wasn't going to do no festivals this year, but I'm feeling better mentally, so I'm like, maybe I might.
So yes, if you are interested in a cash prize, there's that. And the other festival that I won was a pole competition.
Yeah.
Hot Velour in last year was in Chicago. And that had a $500 cash prize.
Wow, okay.
But generally, you get a crown and a sash and a lot of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So like you get makeup. I have so many very beautiful pasties. Like,
yeah.
Beautiful pasties. I've gotten artwork done. I've gotten photo shoots. I've gotten like commissioned prints, like all of this beautiful stuff. But I can't eat the crown and the sash, right? And so I am starting to treat festivals more like a business opportunity. When I went to Hollywood, I was like, hey, I was here in October. I went back to the producers and performers that I met when I was there in October. And I was like, hey, I'm here in March, but I'm coming back in October for my step down. Can I come perform? Right? Same thing when I meet people who are in Vegas. I'm like, hey, I'm going out to Vegas for BHOF. I'm not performing at BHOF. I'm just going to experience it, which to me sounds fun. Shout out to the Ashe Scholarship for a free trip to BHOF. Yeah, they're covering airfare. They're covering hotel. Yeah. It was like I was like, I'm writing this scholarship application, okay?
Oh yes, that is beautiful.
So thank you to Bodysuit. But they, while I knew I was going out there, and so I talked to performers who live in Vegas, and I'm like, hey, do you have a show before or after BHOF that I could be in, so I could make a little money and start to offset? They're gonna pay for my hotel and my airfare, but I'm still gonna spend money while I'm there, right? I got
Vegas.
I have my little Post-its here that have all the themes. I got to make outfits, all of that, right? And so, yeah, like when I travel, I'm always like, can I teach? Can I do a show? Can I do some act feedback with people? Like, what can I do to really offset the cost of going to a festival? My next year, my goal is to tour outside of festivals. To just be like, I'm going to this city. I'm going to go to these many shows while I'm there, right? And I'm just going to work.
Yeah.
Right. So like last year, I did a short stint in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, I'm in New Orleans. I'm doing 4 shows while I'm here. So I'm trying to, I went up to Rhode Island and I did a show, I judged a competition, and then I taught. Right. So I'm trying to move more towards a more sustainable practice around, if I travel, instead of it being focused around a festival, being focused around like local producers bringing me in for their shows and then moving from there.
I hope everybody is listening to this, because I literally tell my students this, and people that ask me all the time. They're like, oh, well, I got accepted to a festival, but I'm not getting paid. Honey, most festivals you do not get paid. So what you do is, you reach out to your local producers that are in that area while you're out there, before or after, if they're having a show before the festival or after, like you just said, reach out to them, get in
and make sure you read your contract.
Yes.
And see if there is a non-compete clause, because if there is a clause that states that you are not to perform within 50 miles of the venue within, sometimes it's 2 weeks, sometimes it's 30 days, sometimes it's 60 days.
What? 60
of the performance. So if you are in the festival, make sure you read the contract.
Yeah.
Because if it says you're not allowed to perform, then you're going to have to figure out another option, right? Which is why I often teach when I travel.
No, that's good. But yeah, no, that's a definite thing. Like when I went to start going to festivals, I was like, okay, I'm not getting paid and I'm coming out of pocket for hotel, food, getting there, all these things. And I was like, okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make gift bags for everybody backstage and give them my QR codes. After I'm done performing, I'm going to go talk to people in the audience. I'm going to get to know these producers. I didn't know when I first started, I didn't know the reach out to producers that were in the area. I didn't know that until now. But before, I was giving out my business cards.
That's right. That's what I do. I got business cards. I got stickers. I got postcards now.
Yes, no, for real. So that is the most important thing you can do during festivals. I love festivals because you meet like your people that you look up to or always wanted to meet, and get to kiki and be in the same room and just I don't know, just getting to meet people. So I really feel like festivals are beneficial because I know some people are like, oh, it's not that beneficial for me. But if you are a newbie, or if you're an OG and want to still get yourself out there, you have to. I don't care how OG you are. Sometimes you still got to do that footwork.
Yeah. But I think it's different for people who've been in the industry for a long time because that's, for people who've been around, like they tell me real simple. They're like, I don't apply to the festival.
And I get it.
No, they're like, I don't apply to the festival. I email and say, hey, I'd like to be a feature performer or a headliner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There we go. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And like, I am trying to get out of my own way a little bit, and start doing that kind of outreach,
please
because
get out your own way. Yeah, please.
So many people are like, girl, it doesn't make sense for you to compete anymore. Every competition you go to, you just be snatching a crown. But like, again, like you were saying, those are not things that pay my bills, right? So like, what does it mean as a feature performer, right? As a headliner, there are just different things available to you, but it does require that you do legwork, right? So like, I'm in the middle of rebuilding my media kit. I built my first media kit last year.
Yes.
At the end of the year, and I update it after every quarter. So if I, get a grant to do a show, right, or to do a project, or if I produce something, or if I win a new title, or if I am a feature performer in like an exciting theater, right? Like I add those things, or if I'm on somebody's podcast, or do interviews or whatever, all of those things get added to the media kit. And then I reach out to producers some of whom produce festivals, and some of whom are just producers that I admire, right? And I'm like, hey, I would love to come to your city. Here are my acts. Here's, some things about me. Let's talk about scheduling, right? And asking to be a headliner feels scary to me. And I know that I've headlined enough things to know that like
they want you.
That like it's me.
Yes, it is you, because you are a beautiful performer. You've been in this game for a long time. You have snatched crowns. I'm sitting here looking at the festivals I got written down for you on this piece of paper. You are definitely more than worthy to be headlining festivals. They should be like, okay, cool, this your price. Okay, cool, we need this, and that's it. So yeah, get out your own way. You got this. Yeah, you are
working on it.
Okay, it takes times. Like me, I'm at the point where I'm like, it's so crazy because it's so hard for me because like I come from a dance background of all these things, but it's not burlesque. So it's so crazy because people think I'm new in this dance world, but I'm not. I've been dancing for 18 years. So I'm just new to burlesque world because it's different than the industry, but we all go through the same thing. The dance industry still low pay, racist, sexist, all the different things. So we're all going through the same things. It's just a different industry. So I'm not there just yet where it's like, I would love to, headline. I haven't headlined it just yet, but I'll get there. But you're there. You already did. So why? What you stopping yourself for? But don't give yourself pressure. But you got this. I'm excited. I am excited to see you perform in person soon. Because this is my year to sit back. I'm going to be performing. Actually, my first performance is next Saturday.
Oh!
Yeah.
On the 11th?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, hold up. But I really want to sit back. So I think we're going to be seeing each other at Beehive. Because I think I'm thinking of my Mother's Day's present, and I think I want that to be my Mother's Day's present, to get the ticket, fly me out, get in the hotel, because and the burlesque.
If you're gonna do it, hurry up. That hotel fills up quick.
Yes, I was like, I know that I might not even stay at the exact
at
hotel.
the Orleans. Okay.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I have points there, so I need to stop playing games. I just stayed there like a year or so ago just for fun. So yeah, I know. I'm so last minute.
Not with this girl.
No, I'm like, people got the next year book already fun.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes.
Hey, let me stop playing because I want to kiki. I want to have fun. I want to get to know everybody because I'm like, how can I explain myself? I'm very social, but when I'm just in outside, I'm quiet. I don't really talk to people till they talk to me, and I want to get out of that. I want to be more social with people, get to know people, because also I'm I feel like nobody likes me. Oh my gosh, but they don't like me. I'm a people pleaser, and I have to just get out of that. I gives a fuck. Be yourself. So
yeah, and the people who are excited about you who will find you.
You're right about that. But yes, this is exciting. I'm so glad I had you. You have dropped a lot of information talking about corporate, yourself, anything. This is a really good interview. I'm really glad to have you. But I have one more thing for you before we get off. Called This or That.
Okay.
Yeah, so I want to get into a quick. So classical or Lord Jesus, I have drunk too much wine. Classical or oh my gosh, what am I thinking? Nerdless.
Oh, Nerdlesque all the way.
I knew you were going to say that. I was like, she's going to say that. Okay, slow burn or fast pace?
Always slow burn.
Do you like dark smoky looks or more like pops of color?
Ooh, that's hard.
I know. It depends on the outfit too.
Yeah. I know some color reveal.
Yes.
I like to start in all black and then be like, surprise. Rainbow.
No, I feel that. I'm the same way. Well, do you like dancing in more of pleasers or your burlesque kitten heel?
I like a ballroom heel. Mostly because the pleasers take so long to break in. Even the short ones, even the 4 or 5 inch heels, they just take a long time to break them in. So I like a ballroom heel because I can wear it for a couple rehearsals and it feels good.
No, you're right about that because I'm pleasers. I'm blow drying, trying to stretch my feet in there to stretch.
Yes, I bought a pair of pleasers last year and I'm still breaking them in.
What?
Yeah, it's because I don't wear them very often because they're uncomfortable.
They are. But yes, that is it for our game. I just always do a little this or that, a really quick little cute little something. Oh, can you go ahead and shout out all your Instagram, Twitter?
Oh my God. Everything is the same. It's Queerly Femmetastic. Many years ago, one Shayole. Oh, how did I get this name? It was a pun on Twitter. Or on Tumblr. My bad. Tumblr. Pre my appearance on Twitter. I wasn't on Twitter. I was an early Twitter person. Okay. So I was on Tumblr and it was a pun from my Tumblr. And then it was my cosplay name because I didn't want to come up with a new cosplay name. And then it was my stage name. And it's just stuck.
Okay, cool. That's what I'm into. I'm like, your name is because a lot of people, do research. I'm like, research your name, but like your name, like nobody can't take that shit because they took it.
Yeah, and I've just had it for, God, I think 2010, 2011, like 2008, 2000. I don't know. When I was in like college, I was using this name.
Oh yes, please. Is it patent?
No, so I'm working on trademarking it. Because I've had some issues where people use it for things that have nothing to do with me.
What?
And I've had to really come for them. So yeah.
Yeah, we suing, so people not play because we
get cease and desist, bitches. So yeah, I am in the process of trademarking my name. For a long time I was like, what? When I was doing burlesque part-time, I was like, it's not a big deal. But now that it is my brand, I'm like, okay, I gotta just go on ahead.
Yeah, please, because sometimes the newbies they don't be doing their research and they be like, oh, I just see something like
but
that.
It's okay. So I don't understand. There's a Black burlesque directory. There's a burlesque name registry. If you haven't put your name in the burlesque name registry, go on ahead and do that. Yeah. There's Burlesque Galaxy that's got people listed. Like, there is literally no reason. Do a Google. Google's free and it takes 5 seconds. Do a Google and say pre-2020, whatever year you're in right now.
Yeah. It's not that hard. There's no reason why people are having the same names. I don't understand that at all. Like, my name didn't even come from burlesque. That was Charlie Kicks was my name when I was like deep into sex work. So I just was like, Charlie Kicks still cute. Okay, burlesque. But I'm just like, let somebody come out with your name or my name. We fighting. And anybody else's name. There should not be two of nobody. It's like, even if it's a performer that doesn't perform a lot, they still come up on Google somewhere because they're advertising Eventbrite.
Yes, exactly.
Whatever. So,
and to me, it feels lazy.
It is.
And I'm like, if that's how you approach your name, how are you going to approach your career?
Or them sets. Or that costume of them. Let me stop. Yes, no, you're right about that. You were right on that. You hit the pin on that. Yeah. So y'all hear that? Research your history. Research the name.
Yeah. But and I also I think there's two sides of that, right? So like research your name, but also like everybody has a cat act. Damn. Everybody has a villain act, right? I am not the first person to do Poison Ivy. I'm not the first person to do Harley Quinn. I'm not the first person to do also understand Banana Gate is hilarious to me because it's like, really, girl, you thought you owned a banana?
I'm like, baby, so I need to cancel my Josephine tribute act. All right,
no, cool. You don't, because first of all,
that had me so
many Black women have a Josephine Baker act. So there are so many banana skirts. Nobody is saying I was the first person to do it because Josephine Baker was the first person to do it.
Yeah, so that's
right. I'm not saying I'm the first person to do a Poison Ivy act, right? I am saying if you do a Poison Ivy act to one of the songs that I'm performing to, that's questionable. That's questionable. Yeah. Right. So I think it's important to understand that the industry is old. There's a lot of people in here. Things are going to be similar, right? Somebody else is going to do a wax pour. Somebody else is going to do a wig reveal. Somebody else is going to fucking pull rose petals out of their pussy. People going to do stuff, right? And so I also caution newbies to be careful around I invented this, or I was the first person to do this, or this is mine.
I see that a lot in the newbie world. They're like, oh, I created this. Somebody copied this, baby. Burlesque has been a lot of decades going on, a lot. In the 19s, maybe 18s, that we didn't even get that history part about because the books was
right. Well, I mean, so in early burlesque, right, it's the early 1900s coming through the vaudeville circuit, right? When people are starting to tour and do cabarets and things like that, right? So American burlesque. I'm talking about American burlesque. It started out in the 1910s, 1920s. It got popular in the 40s and 50s, right? So that's when we started to see in America, right? So that's when we started to see people like Jean Idel, people like Sahi, people like Lottie the Body, right? So like those like Black legends were really like making waves at that point, right? What happened is that we got to, I want to say, the 60s, 70s. And the popularity of the vaudeville circuit began to diminish. Yeah. And so burlesque moved from where it was, which was on vaudeville stages, to the strip club. Yeah. And it moved in the places where it was easiest to do that. So that's why places like Atlanta and Miami have such intense strip club culture, because those were places where legally it was easier to do to even do burlesque, right? Like when I go to like, because of blue laws. Even New York had really wild blue laws. A lot of the blue laws have been repealed, but they did exist. But places like Indiana and Massachusetts and all those places, like there's some really wild blue laws still on the books. Yeah. And so burlesque went from main stages in big theaters to strip clubs. Yeah. Right. And it became divorced from other types of performance. And there was a resurgence of burlesque, which is what we call the neo-burlesque, in the 90s and early 2000s, right? Yeah. And that happened in a couple major cities, and that really brought back burlesque. And so there were some people who were using neo-burlesque as political statements, right? And obviously, whenever women are taking off their clothes, because women's bodies are inherently politicized, it's a political statement. But they were using burlesque to talk about what was happening in the world. Yeah. And there were some people who were like, I want to bring back the old Hollywood glamour. I want to bring back the like very classic. I want to bring back these like silhouettes and aesthetics, right? And so when we think about burlesque, we have to think about it in those three kind of shapes, right? The early, like the sort of blooming of burlesque, right, in the 19th century or in the early 20th century, the recession of burlesque into the strip club, right, and the birth of what we know of as the strip club, right, and then those two things separating and burlesque kind of coming back out onto its own in the 90s. Yeah. No, so that's your 90 seconds of burlesque history.
Yes, please. Yes, that too. And I always tell people to go look. I cannot think of her name, y'all. I'm gonna put her name in here, but it's this YouTuber that breaks it down how you were speaking about it, and she goes into like just the stripper history, burlesque history. It's beautiful how she breaks it down. Her name's like Intelligent something. I cannot think.
Somebody tagged me in something of hers recently because they were using a picture of Miss Jean Idel. And one of my productions that I won a residency for to build out was specifically talking about Black burlesque legends that were New Yorkers. And so Miss Jean Idel, Lottie the Body, and Sahi were the three that we chose. But there are so many, right? And there are so many burlesque dancers. And I think this is important. Like, when you are talking about people with a marginalized identity and people who are doing something close to sex work, are managing different levels of risk, right? And like, obviously we know, or not obviously, not everybody knows this. Yeah. So I'm gonna just say it. People who are doing full service sex work experience a different level of risk than people who might only work in the strip club, right? And burlesque dancers experience a different level of risk than people who work in the strip club or people who are doing camming, right? So like there's a hierarchy there in terms of risk and risk management.
Yes.
And so a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm a burlesque dancer. I'm not a stripper. And I'm like, well, you're literally taking off your clothes.
I hate that conversation of people try to make themselves like, oh,
yeah, this like, I'm not that.
We all sisters, babe.
Right. And like this idea that like, you saying, oh, I'm not a stripper makes it dangerous for strippers, right? Because it means people begin to think of them as not quite human.
Yes, and they're still human and they're still doing. I'm like, yeah, we know it. But the thing is, people forget too, like Atlanta and Miami are the only two places that make you strip down on that third song. And I think people try to make it different. Baby, that little sheer thing across the necks and that little piece of plastic, piece of whatever yarn on the cooch ain't making no little
Not yarn.
So Miss Thangy, it ain't no difference, but you're right about that.
You know, but like and at the end of the day, like if somebody at your corporate job found out you were doing burlesque, they still might fire you.
Yep.
The same way if they found out that you were doing, like you were working in a strip club.
Yep.
Right. And so I think it's important for people to remember that like sex work is work, and there are flavors of sex work, and like all of those flavors have different places in our society, first of all. And second of all, like, no, regardless of what kind of sex work someone is doing, they deserve to be treated like a person.
Yes, because I've been down I did camming. I was the massage girl. I have been to all of them. I have did the burlesque. I've been at the strip club. I have been down the hierarchy, as what they want to call it. And I never felt that feeling of, oh, well, I feel I'm better than this person, or I'm better than the burlesque, or I'm better than the stripper, or because I'm a call girl. But I've never ever felt that at sex work.
Yeah, because honestly, the sex work girlies, like the full service girlies, taught me how to be safe, regardless of what kind of gig I'm at.
Yes,
right. The strippers were the ones who taught me how to connect with the audience. Sure, I can get on a stage in front of 1,000 people and make one person be like, this bitch is dancing for me.
Yeah.
That comes from strippers. Yes. Right? Like when I am stripping, the burlesque girlies were the ones who taught me, here's how to engage your audience through your props. Here's how to make sure that you have a connection to whatever you bring on that stage the whole time. Those things inform each other.
Yeah.
Right. And so I wouldn't be the performer that I am if I had not had access and contact with people who do lots of different flavors of sex work, even though like most of my experience is stripping and burlesque.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. Oh, yes, y'all. Y'all can get all this good information. Yes, we are going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you so much for dropping that. This informative, everything we were talking about. Yes, please make sure you guys subscribe, like, and share. And make sure you answer that question I said. Your favorite cocktail during a burlesque show.
If you see me at a burlesque show, please buy me a Smokey Robinson.
Yes, Queerly. Yes. Brock Queerly that, please.
Okay. It's a mezcal drink. And if they don't know what a Smokey Robinson is, you could just get me a mezcal and ginger beer. Okay.
Period. Make sure you guys go ahead and follow Queerly too on Instagram. Do you have a YouTube?
Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook,
any social media.
It's all Queerly Venmo and Cash App are also Queerly Femmetastic.
Yeah, go ahead and send them tips, y'all.
The rhinestones, they're not cheap.
They're not
cheap.
They're not at all. But I appreciate you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. And don't hang up after, because some people just hang right. I'm like, no, I want to talk to you real quick.
I want to talk to you. Yeah.
But thank you guys for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Two times.